Warning: the following video may have language that some viewers may find offensive, and others are already offended. Viewer discretion is advised, but not really. No animals were hurt in the making of this 4-hour feature film.
See everything,
and they're hands-on.
Yeah, and have to deal with grief in a different level.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's something else. But so when you were deployed, how did the reality of deployment differ from what you expected going in?
yeah.
So everybody has that persona that, hey,
Yes.
this is going to be cool. I get to go overseas and be, stand up for my country. And
the mission in Libya, which is my only deployment,
okay,
was something that I tried to go on the first rotation. I didn't have the opportunity to use my skills in Afghanistan. I was a police officer. My career was going in directions, right? That was my main gig. I regret that I didn't get the opportunity, but the close protection side of things, I wanted to do it. Imagine you're, an amazing quarterback, but you never get a chance to play a real game. Not to say I was an amazing close protection operator, but, I wanted to do the job.
Yeah.
So Arab Spring and all these dictators are being removed from power in areas of the Middle East and Africa. And Canada wants to open its diplomatic mission back up there. So things being stable at the time, they had asked a bunch of people if they would deploy on the first rotation to protect the ambassador over there in Tripoli.
Okay.
So I'm like, absolutely, this is I have time now. Like, my career is where it is. My wife said, go get it over with and never ask me again. So, so that's true. But I've been wanting to do something for so long.
Yeah.
So I put my hand up. We start the training. It was a 10-day training and then deployment, which is unheard of. Usually they take months for training.
Okay.
But they wanted to get things going. Gaddafi is captured and executed, and the mission gets shut down eventually after a few months of training because the country started to change.
Okay.
It wasn't quite as safe. So why I tell you that backstory is eventually the mission is scrapped. It's reinvigorated a few months later, but only with regular force personnel, no reservists, and a far lower amount of support. So I think it was a 50-plus task force at first, dropped down to 17 or 18, depending on how many people they were able to get. So very reduced. And I just kept bugging, and eventually I got on the 6th rotation. And I knew from the past that what the mission was like. I'll say it seemed like a pretty, what we would call a good go. Okay. We were going to be living by the Mediterranean and very nice accommodations. Yeah. It wasn't dangerous. Like the country was happy. Except when we got there, things changed considerably.
Really?
Yeah, the political climate there adjusted. There ended up being a lot of hostilities between the local militias, which became, I'll call, kind of like the police force of the city.
Okay.
Which were established from territorial, like a lot of territorial, I'll call them gangs for lack of a better word.
Okay.
So
right.
Now these factions or these militias got power of different districts. Some of them had different religious sort of expectations.
Yep.
They would often beef with each other,
but now they're all resenting you.
Kind
of, because now you're coming in.
There isn't that great a trust for the West. There wasn't. It was often The second day I was there, I was involved in what was deemed a kidnapping attempt, and I was injured.
Oh, wow.
So there were a few ambassadors that were kidnapped while we were there.
Wow.
All with very similar tactics on how it was done. So that's how they put it together, that's likely what was about to happen. But it was the training, good training, that got me out of that situation.
Wow.
So if you're any soldiers watching this, just pay attention to your training, because it definitely kicks in when it needs to.
It literally can mean life or death, right? Training. I
may not have made it, and the people in the vehicle may not have made it.
I don't care what. Let's just say I don't really care in what profession you're in. Training sessions and learning is always so important. Even all the years that I drove fuel truck, and through the London Fire Department at the airport, I did training many years ago, a lot of training on petroleum fires and spill containments.
Yeah.
And we went up there and did days and days of oil spills, gasoline spills, fires, how to put them out, all that stuff. And you never think, I can go take it, but will I ever use something like that? And you know what? By the grace of God, I was glad I did, because I was in Tilsonburg years ago with a tanker truck that the manifold failed and started pumping thousands of gallons across a parking lot to a catch basin that went down to the creek. And I was able to shut that thing down and get a mat over the catch basin, and then build the dike around with the stuff I had in the side box. But even out of all that, then after the fact, I was like, my heart was just racing, and then I'm thinking, oh my God, am I ever going to be in so much shit here? Because I got like environmental stuff going on and whatever, right?
Yeah.
And the very first, when the guy came out of the service station, it was the Shell station, and I started yelling at him, cut the power to the property. So he went into the main breaker, shut it down, and called 911. And the very first vehicle on the scene when that happened was the press. I don't know how they get there so fast. I was just amazed that how fast that call goes into emergency services, and the press makes it before everybody else does.
Yeah, I don't know their tricks.
No, I don't.
They got them.
That's something else. But
yeah, my expectations, they got twisted right around very quickly.
Yeah,
and that began that more intense of a deployment for me, because day 2 there's already an incident.
So this wasn't turning into be something you thought was.
Oh no, not at all. Very quickly.
Yeah.
And it was very humbling, but you have a couple of options when faced with such things. Right?
Okay.
And the option can't be do nothing.
Right.
Because that's where you are. You've signed the dotted line. You've made that commitment, especially if you're in a position of leadership, right? You have an obligation to make sure that everybody is safe, that they come home after every mission, right? And there's not a lot of time to ensure your own wellness.
We have a new person that's in the military now saying they're going to be deployed to something, right?
Yeah.
Your advice to them, would you say, like, make sure, do you get a buddy? Like somebody in there that when you start going through these things, you got to talk to somebody.
Well,
like how do you deal with that kind of emotional thinking? And, when something turns into something that you had no idea it was going to be, and then it's also life-threatening, to carry that all on your own, I mean, probably most people do.
I was going to say that would be the typical situation, right? Because
bottle it up.
Everybody likely has this. Well, yes, I'm going through this, but I know that Andrew's going through this other thing, and we start to almost shame ourselves.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like if I go to you, it's kind of shameful. Like,
okay,
you're going through your own shit.
What do you think? It's kind of weakness. Is it kind of what
that that would be for me back then, how I would have interpreted my own thoughts on saying anything. I don't want to burden my team, especially as a sergeant at the time. I don't need to burden my team with my problems.
Right.
It's my job to be there for theirs.
Yep.
That was the old mentality, right? But I had such a great relationship with many of the team members that I think they had someone that they could talk to. They still do. We are still in touch, and any one of them I know, if they felt I could help, would call, and it has happened. So that's why at the beginning of the interview you asked me about those defining moments, and that's why I bring it back to relationships.
Okay.
But it's not easy for everyone to have that. Sure. Ideally, if you could say, you have that battle buddy, that person that you're always going to be able to confide in. If it worked that way. Right. I know we had a young fella on our deployment that had a really tough time, and we didn't really even figure it out until near the end. But we ought to have known that he was having a tough time. But we were all going through our own stuff. We were all trying to survive. And we're all trying to look after each other in the way we needed to.
Okay.
Probably not the way we should have. Right.
So do you find then, what gives you the best relief, I guess, or the feeling right now? Is it just being able to talk to somebody? When you're working through a moment that PTSD flashes back and it grabs you, how do you put yourself out of that? So anybody that's watching this right now, they may be a police officer or they're dealing with some pretty rotten stuff and they haven't come forward yet.
Yeah.
How are you working through that now? What pulls you out of that? I mean, other than Riggs. Riggs is amazing.
Yes,
partner here, and we're going to talk a little bit about Riggs.
Part of getting Riggs was to help reduce some of the symptoms that I was experiencing with the injury.
Okay.
I'll go on record, and I hope I'm wrong someday, but there's no cure for a post-traumatic stress injury or an operational stress injury, whatever you'd like to call it, PTSD. Your brain is fundamentally changed by trauma. And it's important to know, because not everyone listening or watching is a soldier or first responder. PTSD affects everybody.
Right? Yeah, that's right.
And don't diminish your own experience as one not deserving of the attention of it, so that you can try to get above it.
Right.
Just because you're not a soldier or first responder.
Okay.
Right. Think of all the things that happen to us in our life that contribute to, I'll call it trauma for lack of a better word, like even the loss of a loved one. Right. There's very little match for the impact on the brain in losing someone that we love. It's one of the penalties of being human, having such deep care and emotion for others. Some of the steps I have taken to try to get to the point that I'm at, which is stable, I'll call it stable. I'm not, where I want to be yet, but I also have come a long way from where I was, right? From a suicidal individual to one who looks forward to getting up every day, as long as I'm not too busy.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Sometimes too many tasks can overwhelm me.
Okay.
So part of my journey involved going to retreats for first responders and veterans to try to get education and learn about what was even happening to me. Like, I didn't come from a generation that had courses for mental wellness. Right? There was no mention of mental health until probably 15 years, at least a decade into my career. It just wasn't spoken about. It didn't, it's like it didn't exist. So when you're experiencing those symptoms, what are you to compare it to if you have no education? This is just the way I am.
Sure.
And then it led to self-medication and everything else. So
you'd feel very alone, eh?
Oh, definitely. That's part of it, is the isolation.
Yeah.
You feel that there's something wrong with you. You're not normal, and you keep yourself away from others. There's part of you that recognizes that it's not safe to be around you.
Okay.
And it wasn't. I was very agitated, not in public. We always mirror around the people that we, provide kindness to the people around us that we don't know, but when we're home, we don't provide, especially with PTSD, I wasn't providing that kindness to my family.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah,
Right.
I follow you. Yep.
And, medication, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be something that people shy away from, approach it, in an appropriate way,
Right.
approach it with curiosity, and, only do as much as you need that gets you to, and there's always trial and error. That's the problem with it, why people might shy away.
Okay.
But sometimes you need it to become stable so that you can work on all those other pieces that were overwhelming you.
Yeah.
I had to set boundaries. I had to only take on so much in a day.
Yeah.
I ended up being medically retired because of my inability to do too much without just completely breaking down. I still can become very agitated, and dealing with the public might not necessarily be the best thing. I might seem like a very calm and unassuming individual now, but it doesn't take a whole lot for me to change my stripes.
Wow. Okay. But you recognize that now, which is a huge step.
Well, I recognize it in the moment, but it's hard to stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like once you've been wound up and the key has been released, that it has to do its thing.
I think a lot of us that work with public and me in the job that I currently do is at times very trying.
Absolutely.
And you're always biting your tongue and stuff. But for you, what would you wish civilians, so everyday people, would understand better about invisible injuries that veterans carry? And now, not just, let's remove the first responder side, let's just go to the military.
Yeah.
What is one of the things that internally that we would never know that you guys carry?
I think it's hard to say you guys or to generalize.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure those are conversations that I've truly had in open forum with other veterans that have those invisible injuries.
Okay.
But I do know that, especially in the beginning of my journey, that I'll use that word again, I carried a lot of shame, a lot of guilt.
Okay.
That, I went from wanting to be, service was my purpose. It still is.
Right.
And that I wasn't able to do that to my capacity. I wasn't fulfilling my mission for you. And that some of the expectations I had when not in uniform, that the world had on me, that I couldn't meet.
Okay.
And often also I felt that others were in my way.
Okay.
And that's why I isolated so much. And still do at times.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's.
I think, you know what though, too, to be fair, I think we all, at some point, got to isolate
You need
at
time
some
to
point
yourself.
because you got to clear things in your head and
Yeah.
things can get overwhelming. But you said soldier suicide. So you've had not just military, you have police behind you too.
Yes.
Those experiences and everything. So what were the dark days like when you were going through that? I know there's other people out there that watch us that would be like, I'm almost on that same road.
Yeah, it was pure survival.
Is it those thoughts come into your head? You don't want to end your life. I believe, is it you want that pain to stop? Is that kind of where you're heading for? You don't want this anymore. The life itself is not the issue.
There's certainly a part of it.
Yeah.
That was like that because being, because if I haven't said it yet, I'll clarify that, and I'm not a doctor, but I have been told by some
Okay.
that PTSD fundamentally changes the brain, right?
Okay.
That's why it's an injury and why they're trying to have it classified as such instead of a disorder. I wasn't born with this.
Right.
This happened as a result of the things that I experienced.
Okay.
So you're dealing with often depression, high anxiety, isolation, and this can be very legitimately uncomfortable and painful. So, rumination, right? Guilt, shame. It is, for me, coming from a person that, and I know you're going to have the disclaimer, so that had put his gun in his mouth.
Okay.
Right. That wanted to end it all. The thing that I felt immediately as that happened was that intense shame. Right? Like, what are you doing?
Okay.
But at the same time, the shame of not doing it too, because I wanted it all to just stop and end.
Okay.
I wanted no more responsibility, no more obligation.
Wow.
I didn't want to be the terrible spouse that I was becoming, and an absent father. That for me, it was the shame. I wanted that to end, not necessarily the pain at that point.
Wow.
And I felt that was the only way to make it happen.
Wow.
But ironic that it was a different type of shame that saved me from pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, maybe fear.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that there wasn't that moment too of fear.
Yeah.
Right? There was a part of me that very much loved my family and my wife, and it was a moment. Flash.
What it would do to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The important people.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I had that.
Okay. This is why it's so important to talk to somebody that's going through stuff like what you have and currently are, because again, like I said, that alone feeling, you're not alone.
Yeah.
There are many people out there that, now PTSD is only 4 little letters.
Right.
But man, does it have a huge thing underneath. You put it at the top of a graph and then start drawing the lines.
Yeah, there's so many symptoms that cross over into other things.
Does it ever make you upset when you hear people claim that certain things in their lives because they have PTSD?
I'll use it sort of like a...
It's kind of like their get out of jail free card kind of thing. They want, it's more of a, well, I did it because of this, or...
I heard, more jokingly people say that. I hear that a lot. Like, going to the dentist gives me PTSD.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe for some it does.
But now some that do have
right?
an absolute fear of dentists.
Yeah.
And for me, when I just had all my dental work done and everything because of diabetes, but when I was a little kid, Dennis and me, we never, no. That was always a major thing for me. And right in Mitchell, I remember as a little kid laying in the chair, or like in that chair, and he put his fingers in my mouth with that little mirror thing. I was about 7, I think. And I gagged because he went too far back, and I gagged and I bit his fingers, and he grabbed me around the throat and he said, "You bite my fingers again, you little prick."
But if anybody did that to you, dentist or not, right? That might give you at 6 years old, right?
It did, and when he did, and he slapped me across the face.
Wow!
And ever since
I
then,
believe you.
I never went back.
Yeah.
All through my teens, my mom would say, you got to go to the dentist.
I've heard some dentist stories from back then.
Yeah, this is early 70s.
Yeah, I've heard. My mom had a dentist that was, I think, a bit physical as well.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, I believe you, man.
School was hair pulling, ear pulling, strap.
Yeah,
I remember all that.
Yeah,
all those days. But so now you've come back home and everything. Were you a police officer before deployment, or was that after? When you became London?
I joined the reserves in October of 1999, and I was hired as a police cadet in July of 2000. I did both positions concurrently until I was medically released by the police service in 2023, and I was medically released by the military in 2024.
Okay.
So combined service during like I would do police work and sometimes immediately go work at the reserves, or work a day shift on Friday and then deploy on an exercise for the weekend. So I was very involved.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, that's a lot too, and being away like that, and that does take a huge family commitment.
Yes.
So much on their side too.
And
I mean, my wife, when I was truck driving, she was.
Well, that's tough.
Not
My father-in-law is a truck driver, so I know that. Well, he's retired
and
now.
I always said you're not a truck driver unless you're usually on your second wife or straight. So
and he's blessed to still have his.
Well, that's
his,
good.
Yeah,
that's
and
good.
and myself, mine through all this.
That's amazing.
Like it takes a lot of your own.
That's legitimately your soulmate.
Grit. But yeah, we met in both our last year of high school.
Okay.
Went through university together. Yeah. We've had our
cool.
ups and downs, and PTSD certainly brought a lot of downs.
Yeah,
and I didn't even realize it.
Wow.
Because I didn't care. I was very self-centered. Survival.
It's amazing too when we talked a couple weeks ago or whatever, but our own personal backgrounds between you and me, how they've crossed.
Yeah.
And even today I find another new thing that so way back in Grand Bend days when I lived there and all a part of everything going on, and then after I was there, but not too long, then you were up there.
Yeah, I worked a summer there.
Yeah,
Same
store
IGA,
that I did.
Wright's IGA.
Yep, John Wright that owned IGA, and I worked there for quite a while.
Yeah, he was very kind to pay me the exact amount of student minimum wage.
And there wasn't much back then.
$6.45 an hour, night shift.
Yeah, I remember when I first started, I think we were getting $3.75 an hour was minimum wage at that time. But yeah, from Grand Bend, and then today we're talking about how my family up in Burkes Falls, Huntsville, and you just came from there.
Yeah,
you were and you've got a lot of history in Burkes Falls.
Yeah, I went to public school and the first 4 years of my high school there. My father was an OPP officer there from like 92 to 2011 or 12. I'm not sure the year he retired. And I just came back from a visit.
So your father would have been probably in my donut shop.
Absolutely.
That time, 'cause back then I used to
I might even have been.
You might have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have been. I was right on the corner at the bottom of the hill. It said Tony's Coffee Shop, and I used to have a button on the till that was a police officer's coffee. So everybody at that time it was like $1
You didn't
for
put
a
extra
large cup.
spit in that one.
Nope.
No.
Okay,
that was
no
a
extra spit. It was I think 25 cents. I
nice.
charged them back then.
Well,
right?
then my father definitely would have visited you. For
Then I made
coffee.
sandwiches, and I used to have cops and fire guys, and everybody worked at Nelson's Muffler up there. They used to stop in, and I'd brown bag all their lunches and pre-make them. And
the factory's still there, but it does something different now.
Yeah, it is. It is different. I think it's called Loft House.
Okay.
I think that's the name of it now. So it used to be Nelson Muffler. I had my ex-brother-in-law actually worked at Loft House and was on the fire department up there for quite a while. He had a sweet gig up there with he owned his he did contracting, but he could go into work and then if a fire called, he'd get all his full pay from the factory still because they supported their guys.
That's very nice.
He'd be able to go out and do his thing, right?
Yeah,
so
it's a beautiful part of the province.
Yeah. So what drew you to police work then? Was it because of your dad?
I mean, partially. I wanted to be a teacher, actually.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to be a music teacher.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I really enjoyed music. I did music in elementary school. I did it all through high school at every level that I could.
Yeah.
And same with my wife. That's partially how we got along in the beginning, was music.
Okay.
And I wasn't able to sort of get to where I needed to get as far as piano ability to apply for universities for music. I ended up, I found myself in Grand Bend because of a girl, and I wanted out of Burkes Falls. As much as I'll say nice things about it now,
wasn't a lot of
there's nothing for a 17-year-old boy in Burkes Falls. So I ended up going down there, completely changed my mind of what I was going to do in order to see that through, which was go to college and go for police foundations. It was safe. My dad was a police officer. I knew the culture, right? And I thought, well, if my old man can do it, I could probably do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Dad.
Yeah. I know.
I know.
So
exactly. I'm like, I could do this.
Yep.
And I ended up going for police foundations. I hated it.
Did you?
I dropped out. I ended up moving into my grandparents' place near Elmer, and that's where I eventually met my now wife, our first day of school.
Oh, okay.
I was sitting in her chair in English class, she had already been there a couple weeks, and I took it because I was the first one there, and she came over and gave me shit for sitting in her seat. So now I pull all their chairs out for her.
Nice.
So it ended up just being a set of circumstances that led me to joining the Army, seeing an application 6 months later to be a cadet with the police service in London. I applied. The recruiting officer was a soldier at one point, and he must have seen some promise in me, and he gave me the opportunity at 19 years old.
Awesome.
Yeah, it